Hello there, Kaylin.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. You look
Good.
like you're in a hotel room. Where are you calling in from?
I'm in a hotel. I'm in Nashville, Tennessee
Nice.
today. Yes.
Nice. How's
Looking up.
the weather? I'm going to be there next weekend.
It is hot. It is hot.
Yeah,
Um, Typical Nashville, midsummer, 90s, heat index of 103, 104. Was that
perfect.
36, something like that? Celsius. But yeah, it's a hot one. But what is also hot is this topic today.
Yes.
And glad to take everyone through kind of some of the thoughts that we have on this marketplace and where it's going and what you really need to do to differentiate moving forward. Everybody, on this call and probably watching the replay or seeing this out on live streams, I think everyone's starting to really understand the impact of AI on this industry and what it's going to look like. Well, no one really knows what it's going to look like 12 months from now, but you're starting to see the impact of this the AI and kind of the global economics at play. And so we'll kind of touch on some of that stuff and show you what some of the smart MSPs are doing to modernize and manage more than just IT moving forward, because it's really about differentiating and managing more than IT. I think that's going to be key theme across this industry moving forward for MSPs is how do they just not be an MSP moving forward. So
Yeah,
glad to jump into this topic.
I'm
Before we
excited.
do, any thoughts to share? Any
No,
things you're
I
looking to get
think
out of this?
No, I mean, I've been to a few events lately, and definitely MSPs have this topic top of mind. So I think us discussing this over the last few weeks is perfect timing because going into
Yeah,
the latter half of the year, MSPs are really looking at how they can change their businesses to optimize the outcomes for their clients moving forward.
yeah, absolutely. Well, this is absolutely survival of the smartest. So we'll jump into it. So what we're seeing, right, is that MSPs are no longer just IT vendors, right? The smart ones are no longer just IT vendors. It's no more painfully obvious than if you go out to some of the larger MSPs like DataPrize and Tiva and Thrive. You look at their websites; they talk about ROI, they talk about business outcomes, they talk about the bottom line and strategic optimization. And the vast majority of this marketplace doesn't speak that way. And they all kind of get lumped into the same group of kind of MSPs, doing backup and email security and Microsoft licensing, and you got to really differentiate. So the smartest ones know that they're no longer just IT vendors. They have to align their offerings with their customers' bottom line, and they really make it painfully obvious of how they help from a strategic standpoint progress their customers' business. It's all about business enablement moving forward, as you'll see here. What's interesting, and this was challenge me personally because not that I set out early on to build ID Agent and have it as a tool that scared people into submission, but it worked at the time. But I think today the customer's pretty savvy and they're a little bit over the fear, the selling fear, uncertainty, doubt kind of approach. So again, they're looking at game plans, they're looking at outcomes. Security and the MSSP element of this market is never going to change. It's never going to slow down, and it's always going to be applicable and relevant. But moving forward, it is about game plans and outcomes, and how do you progress your business, your customer's business, moving down the field with technology game plans. So here's 6 reasons why we kind of see this marketplace and shifting, and why this approach has to happen now. So we can see through our Navistack platform that 92% of the MSPs that are using Navistack, have the same core 20 products in their stack. Could be a very mix of and variation of different vendors, but they have the same 20 products and services in their core stack. And unfortunately, these services have become ridiculously commoditized, and that's not going to slow down, right? You're going to see the large platform vendors, with their bundled pricing. You're going to see pricing and margins erosion. We'll talk about that in a moment. But you no longer differentiate based on your stack. In fact, that becomes a sales liability if you're just talking about your stack and your approach. Again, it's going back to outcomes. AI, I think this is painfully obvious to everybody. We're fortunate. I'm fortunate to see about a dozen, 2 dozen vendors every week, and I'm seeing the impact of AI. In fact, we just put out the IT management report where discuss a lot of the evolution of AI into these IT management solutions. AI is accelerating this commoditization. In fact, if you look at some of these categories in that IT roadmap or IT management software report that we put out, uh, we have roughly 13 product categories that we highlight. My guess is that goes down to about 7 or 8 categories next year because the other categories are becoming basically features of the vendor stacks, which will ultimately again drive margins down and accelerate this commoditization. So this is going to be a challenge for everybody, this AI revolution. So you're trying to get in front of it.
I do want to just quickly stop you, Kevin. I am dropping the map in the chat for everybody in the audience as well. If you haven't had a chance to download it, it does have some great insights into the topic that Kevin was just speaking about.
Awesome. Yeah, no, it definitely does. I'm pretty proud of how that came out. We're still seeing a drive for M&A and market consolidation. Speaking with some MSPs, this is having a pretty dramatic impact in local markets where large monolith or roll-up MSPs are coming in and undercutting because of their pricing power and parity, the local markets. And so you're seeing this still it's not slowing down. I mean, surprisingly, there was that thought that all the good ones had been acquired and now they're kind of picking through the scraps. The state of M&A is still strong, and the structure of M&A is evolving, which is interesting. So you're not going to see that slow down anytime soon, I don't think. Obviously, we've got this economic volatility going on. So that's forcing the customer. It's actually forcing MSPs internally to look at their costs and their spending and really kind of getting a grasp on it. But you're seeing a real big push out there to cost cut. And one of our our kind of taglines, if you will, or kind of thoughts is that you have to be the ones help doing the cutting versus the ones being cut. And so again, it's really about getting in and integrated with your customer moving forward. Talked about this, pricing pressures, not just from an M&A standpoint, but you're seeing it with all the large platform vendors, and they've got major pricing parity or power with these bundled solutions, and the barrier of entry to get in this marketplace is ridiculously low now, and so you're seeing kind of this squeeze effect at the top end. You're seeing the pricing power and parity of the larger roll-up MSPs, and then you're seeing smaller MSPs coming in, and that's kind of a that's just I guess business 101. But you're seeing kind of the ankle biters come in and drop their prices and taking a bite out of margin for the middle part of the marketplace. So this is and these are all compounding at the same time, these challenges. And then lastly, because of this, right, you're seeing record amounts of churn. I mean, you're seeing, we were looking through the CRN marketplace report. We're looking at a whole bunch of different places, and you're seeing a record amount of churn going on in this marketplace. I just got fist bumped by somebody. I didn't see who it was, but sorry about that for being distracted. Yeah, this is a challenge, right? I mean, you're seeing slowing overall growth rates. The industry, growing, the broader industry growing at about 13%, but the average MSP is growing at about 7%. And if you're seeing a 28% increase in churn, so maybe your churn's going from 10 to 11% or 12%, that's having a material impact on your ability to grow. So these are all macroeconomic things that are impacting this industry that are really forcing MSPs to have to think different and understand how they have to position themselves differently moving forward. So back to the smart MSPs. I mentioned they're selling business outcomes. They're not selling scare tactics anymore. They're not selling the nice to haves, the long-term projects, these luxury support plans, and we're getting down to brass tacks, right? They're getting away from the kind of custom development or one-off products or projects because, it's not needed. People are looking at spending, and then, AI is effectively mitigating the need for some of these types of one-off products or projects. So these are things that the smarter MSPs have realized they have to stop doing and start leaning into these outcomes. Right. Speaking of outcomes, right? What we're seeing, and one of the reasons why we've leaned so heavily into building a platform that helps with these outcomes, is that it is outcomes and optimization, it's cost savings and compliance, it's productivity and automation. These are all buzzwords over the years, but these are really in demand these days. There's no question about it. With all the uncertainty and the drive and looking at our AI solutions, right? This is where this marketplace is going. And if you haven't started to reposition how you sell and market your services, then again, you're going to be kind of lumped into the pack, and it's going to come down to your per seat price versus their per seat price. And that price bake off is never good for anybody. So what's hot and in demand is really helping your customers optimize their expense, right, and ROI. So helping them understand fully what their technology portfolio is, what their subscriptions are, what their shadow IT is, what their overall app usage is, understanding their vendor sprawl or tool sprawl, helping them with renewals, helping them understand their overall IT spending, and then optimizing that spending with these VCIO services. And so it's interesting because these are things that surface level, they sound like blocking and tackling. Sounds like everybody, every business should do it. But I guarantee most MSPs on this call aren't doing this internally. And if they are, they might be using an Excel spreadsheet. So this is not just it's not just MSP challenge. This is a fundamental business challenge for every business out there. And it's one of the reasons why, again, we're kind of leaning into helping the industry become a lot more sophisticated and savvy when it comes to outcomes and optimizing their customers' businesses. There's another kind of statistical, another slide. I mean, this kind of really highlights it right now. And we should probably update this with some of the AI dynamics, but people are looking at people, providers, and overhead first, and then they're looking at the application, and the application sprawl is real. I know we had a slide in some of these other versions of this presentation where average small business is working with 125 different applications, and it sounds almost unbelievable, but when you start to add in all the widgets and the add-on tools and the trials and the demos, and these platforms add up. So this is a major focus of just about every business moving forward.
I do think, just adding to that as well, it's really important to look across all of the products that are being used in your businesses and your clients' businesses and look where there is overlap, because a lot of those products within those categories do cross over, and there's tons of cost savings and optimization that can be made there as well.
Yeah, that's one of the aha moments I think we see with a lot of MSPs that just come in and start using Navistack, the free tool that we have, is that when they start adding in, their project management tools, and they see they have 4 project management tools that they've been working with or paying for, that's kind of like, what are we doing? How are we running an effective business this way? So it's a challenge, and our friends over at Gartner's, they'll say that you're going to waste about 40% of your SaaS spending. And these are all self-inflicted wounds. This is forgotten auto renewals, kind of that dreaded 3-year contract that kind of gets buried, and you forget about the auto renewal. It's the fact that you're not managing or managing your subscriptions, your contracts. Again, it's tool sprawl. It's the lack of visibility into overall expenses, and then it's the shadow IT buying controls, right? So being able to assign different tools that you've bought to different departments and hold people accountable for those solutions that they're working with. So this is why this stuff is in demand, and you've seen it. You talk about the fact in the consumer marketplace, you hear about some of these tools like Rocket Money and Mint and NerdWallet, Monarch, what have you. You hear about these tools that are focused on helping the consumer with subscriptions and cancellations. And what was interesting is that it really wasn't a full business application that was out there. And this is why we have done something about it with BetterTracker. So we built a tool that allows you to go internally and to your customers and help them with these challenges, which again, this is kind of the future of the marketplace, and this is why we're going in this direction. So this BetterTracker platform legitimately allows you to deliver value in 10 minutes or less. Um, it helps you differentiate. So instead of going in there and saying, here's my core MSP services, it's let's go in and understand your full technology portfolio. We have a tool that's going to help you get organized and help us understand everything that you're working with. That way we can serve you more effectively moving forward and help you with better business outcomes. This allows you to drive more revenue because it's you're basically being tied to the operations of your customers, and it helps with obviously retention because this is a tool that your customers they will become dependent upon, and you're providing that to the customers, and that's I think a beautiful thing to help that mitigate that churn thing moving forward. So we're excited about this platform. It's progressing so fast. The development team and some of the AI stuff that we're coming out in this platform is going to be pretty terrific. Um, what's great is that this platform now is integrated with about 12,000 financial institutions. So to make it easy for you and your customers to understand their sprawl and their expense, you simply, 2 clicks, you're up and running in less than 5 minutes, and you're pulling all your recurring transactions in, and you're really getting a visual representation of just how many subscriptions that you have, and then you're adding them to your stack, and you're starting to get alerts on when these expenses increase, when they decrease, when they're up for renewal. So again, this is about total visibility. It's about being in control. Uh, it's about holding your vendors accountable. Having been a vendor, and I guess still a vendor, but um, having been a vendor and an MSP, it is about accountability, and this surfaces that accountability in a very proactive way. It's almost a set it, forget it, but it's proactive, and it's letting you know what's going on in your business day in and day out. So what we're seeing, how the MSPs are kind of shifting their approach and using this platform is that some are just straight reselling it to their customers, providing access. Some are using it to enhance, as I mentioned, their quarterly QBRs because they're sitting down and saying, all right, let's look at your overall stack. Let's look at your overall expense. And then some are fully managing as basically a fully outsourced business and finance optimization solution to their customers. So there's a couple different ways you can approach how you bring this to market, but nevertheless, the goal is to get both you and your customers on the same page with their technology, with their expenses. That way you can serve them more effectively and really talk about those business outcomes and optimization. And then a couple different ways that we're seeing the market react to this. Right, we have some providing again as a low cost, no cost lead generation tool. Great news is that you can send this out to one customer. You can send it out to 25 customers. You can send it out to 25 prospects, 50 prospects, and provide it as a free tool, or you can provide it as a paid tool. That's really the choice is yours. You get the internal license for yourselves, but then going out there and say, hey, we've got a free tool to help you get a control of your technology sprawl, your expense, and your subscriptions. That is providing an immense level of value to these customers and prospects. We have some giving these in-person webinars, and then we have some webinar samples and templates that talk about tackling your technology sprawl, expense and sprawl. And then we're seeing that the really savvy MSPs going out there and doing the same thing with local chamber of commerces, their tech councils. They're doing golf outings talking about this. And again, this is very similar to the playbook that we ran with ID Agent, right? We want to give you as much enablement as possible, as many tools as possible to help you bring value and sell this more effectively to your customers.
Yeah, and I did drop the playbook for the Chamber of Commerce specifically here. Matt and I did a webinar recently on that, and it had great success. And we did have MSPs implementing that playbook right away and showing some ROI from taking BetterTracker to their local chamber. So I've shared that there, and it's an easy download for you guys to grab as well.
Awesome. Great. Thanks for doing that. This is another really interesting area that we talk about, right? If you're working with regulated customers, healthcare, legal, financial, what have you, these are elements of each one of these frameworks that BetterTracker supports, right? So vendor compliance, tracking your vendors and third-party visibility and risk with a tool like this is only going to further enhance your ability to help meet these frameworks for you internally and for your customers. Thinking about supply chain, these require, every one of these just about require contract and renewal tracking as an element of their frameworks. And then you've got documentation and audit trail, and that's really phenomenal byproducts to help bolster your security and compliance practice with your customers. So with that, we're kind of at the last slide here. Maybe Kenny, if you want to jump in and maybe talk about this slide.
Yeah, so we do have a special going on right now, especially with the licensing for the price. So with this $99 price point, you do get 50 free licenses to take to your customers and prospects. And that's showing them BetterTracker and using it as a lead generation tool, as well as a value add-on to your current prospects. And the partners that you're already working with. So there is a QR code there that you can use to book a demo directly, but I also dropped in the links into the chat. So if you are ready to talk to anybody from our sales team more about BetterTracker, you can book a demo with them directly, or if you're just ready to sign up, there is the link there as well, and you can take advantage of this $99 price point. And we will honor that price point if you book a demo within the next 5 business days as well.
That's awesome. Look, obviously, yeah, we want everybody using the platform and providing, value and gaining insight and, being stronger with your customers. But really, if there's any, takeaways from this, one, you gotta up your game, right? You have to talk about business outcomes, how this will help you help your customers, how you will help your customers become more efficient, how you'll help optimize their operations, give them greater visibility. I mean, these are the, this is what's going to separate the wheat from the chaff moving forward. And if you're stuck just selling a stack, if you're just stuck selling good, better, best on your pricing model, then you're missing where this marketplace is going. So if anything, go out and look at some of the big guys, like I mentioned. Look at the Thrives and the Antivas and the Data Prize and some of the others that are out there. They absolutely get it. They're going upstream and selling value. And if you're not doing that, then again, you're going to be left behind. And I think secondarily, same thing, lean into education around AI. Some of these new solutions and platforms that are coming out, will really have a material impact on your business, your margins short term. Again, automating most aspects of the help desk. Certainly that the tier 1 technician. There's some just low-hanging fruit things that you can do today to improve your business. We'll be talking about some really interesting AI enhancements in this platform here coming up. So if you're an early adopter, great, get in now because these enhancements are going to be pretty massive. And they'll have a different price point, but you'll be grandfathered in from that perspective as we start to layer in some of these AI solutions. So with that, I guess, one, I'll thank everybody for, jumping on and certainly Caitlin for setting this up. Again, lean into this new concept. It's not new, but this concept here to stay is it's about business outcomes, right? And so you got to lean into it, and we'll be glad to help you with BetterTracker and helping you grow your business.
Yeah, and if anybody in the audience has any questions or would like to talk more about this topic, I did drop my email address in the bottom for you guys. You're more than welcome to email me directly. But just echoing what Kevin says, at that $99 price point, you're also going to be able to get your own house in order. And I would be shocked if you do not find some savings by implementing this tool based solely on what you're using internally as well, which will help shape those conversations when you take them out to your customers and prospects as well. So,
yeah, world is changing. You got to keep up. So get to it.
All right. Well, thank you so much for making the time, Kevin. This was super, super valuable. So
awesome. Well, thanks everyone. And we'll see you out there.